You got it?
Yeah, it's recording now, yeah.
Good. So,
Just have to try.
I know, the next one is the slope, all right?
You said they guide you to.
So we're trying to figure out to find the slope. Now, to find the slope of a line, there's two ways to do it. Actually, three ways, but we're gonna learn how to do it according to what the book is giving us. So the first way to do it is this: we use this formula that everybody knows by heart. It's called y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and I'll explain what this means. The slope by definition is rise over run. That's rise over run, okay? The rise being on the y-axis, run being on the x-axis. So if you have 2 points, let's say you have 3, 5, and then 7, and let's say 9. And then you're asked, find the slope of the line that goes through these 2
What
points.
is that? Rise is the y2 minus y.
Y1, yeah. Okay, the rise is on the y-axis and the run is on the x-axis. Now, if you're given 2 points, let's say 3, 5, and 7, 9, and they're saying find the slope of the line that goes through these 2 points. So first thing you want to do, you want to label your points. So let's call this x1, y1. Let's call this x2, y2. And to find the slope, the letter for the slope is m. It's going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Or, now that you know what y2 is, it's going to be 9 minus 5 over 7 minus 3. So that is 4 over 4, and basically this is 1. So the slope of the line is 1. So all you need to remember really is this equation. Y2 minus formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that's how you find the slope. Now, the next one is determine the slope of a line using given an equation. So, Suzanne mentioned this before. This is called the slope-intercept form of an equation. Of a line or an equation, whatever. So, it looks like this: y equals mx plus b. This is what you're going to see a lot. And in this case, when you're given an equation like this, m stands for the slope, and we can tell what b stands for, usually. The y-intercept. But right now, we're only interested in the slope. So the slope is m. So now if I give you this equation, let's say y equals 2x minus 5 here, and I say find the slope of a line given this equation, what would be the slope? Based on the formula that we go. What would be the slope in this case? 2. You know why it's 2? Because y is mx, right? 2x plus negative 5, or she likes to write this way, right? So 2 here is your slope, or it's also called m. And then negative 5 is your y-intercept. But right now we are only interested in the slope, m. So if I give you this equation, y equals negative 1/3 x plus 5, without even thinking, what's the slope?
1/3. 1/3.
Negative 1/3.
Negative 1/3.
The slope is this. You don't like negative numbers, do you? Why? For some reason he hates it. I don't know why.
He always forgets the
I don't know why. What about this? 0.01x plus 6. What's the slope?
0.01.
0.01. The slope is always before the x. M. Okay, so that's the slope every time. So that, don't even like that probably, if they give you this is probably the easiest way to find the slope. You just look at the number before the x. Okay. Now, here's the thing. They can throw you off a little bit, and we're gonna do that here. Are you done? Copy? Okay. All right. Once we do this one, we're gonna do a couple of problems, and it make more sense. And there's a word problem here too.
What page, 141? Or
Done? Good. Now, oh, done?
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you look on that page, if you look on page number 138, example 5. Look at example 5 on page 138. It says, find the slope of the line, right? What's the equation of the line?
When that is?
Yeah, 138, example 5.
So, you'd have to move the 2 over, no.
Yeah, so
Yes.
let's just write the equation first. 2x plus 4y equals 9, right? And they're saying, find the equation of the line. Now we have a little bit of a problem here because we've been used to y equals mx plus b, and we say when we are given this equation, the slope is m. Now they give it to you, now in this case, it looks different. It's 2x plus 4y equals to 9, and they're saying find the slope. It's not in this form. This is called the standard form, right? And this is called the slope-intercept form. So you have to put this equation in this form for you to find the slope. And to do that, we solve for y. We got to express this in terms of y. So we have to solve for y. So you see everything that we did from the beginning. We did solving for letters yesterday. I think you went here. Solving for letters using, and we said we treat this as we're going to treat this as a number. So if I want to solve for y, I'm going to first subtract 2x on both sides, right? This cancels, so 4y equals negative 2x plus 9. Now there's a critical thing here. Why did I not write 9 minus 2x and I went negative 2x plus 9? I did it this way because I want to be as close to this as possible. I want to make sure I keep this as my reference. I want to put the x before the 9, so this is negative 2x. And because there's no number here, there's no sign there, so it's a positive, it's plus. Right? So plus 9. Now, the next step will be, since I'm solving for y, I need to divide by 4, right? I got to divide both of them. So it's going to be y equals negative 2 4 x plus 9 over 4. And we're not going to leave this like this, right? We're going to try to simplify that. 2 goes into 4 twice, right? And we're left with 1, so it's going to be negative 1/2 x plus 9 over 4. Now we have this. And now we can figure out what the slope is. So what's the slope? Now that we're here.
It's negative half.
Negative 1/2. So the slope m is negative 1/2. But the most important step is to make sure you turn this into this. And then you can find the slope, and then from then it makes it a little bit easier. Okay.
You want to copy this?
And now let's do a couple of problems now, and then that's gonna help us to figure this thing out. Okay. Oh, before we do the problems, there's a couple of things that we need to learn.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah, I'm gonna wait.
I'm so slow.
That's all right.
You guys did example 7, yeah or no?
Yeah, we did. I don't know if we did.
No.
7?
Yeah.
No, 7 is gonna be tied up with a problem. It's gonna be, yeah, I'm gonna touch 7 in like the problem section. I saw it. So the first thing but I wanna, find the lines. Like, now, how do you, if you look on page 140, you are given two equations there. Y equals 3x plus 5, and then y equals 3x minus 6. And then we're going to introduce this idea of parallel lines here. Now, two lines are parallel if they have the same slope. So if two lines have the same slope, they are parallel. It's one of those words that I struggle to say. So basically, if you look at the first line here, what's the slope of the first line? 3. The slope of the second line? 3. So if the two lines have the same slope, then they are parallel lines. That's the only thing you need to know about this. And then we're going to do perpendicular also.
Yeah, I remember doing no stuff. Now, perpendicular and stuff like that?
Yeah,
Like high school.
yeah. Let me know when you're done.
Yeah.
Done? Good. Now perpendicular lines, that's a little different. Perpendicular line, perpendicular line. So we have y equals 2x minus 5, and then y equals, actually, the other one was negative 2x plus 5, and 1/2 x minus 3. Now, by definition, two lines are perpendicular if the product of their slope is -1. So they are perpendicular. If the product of their slope is -1. So what's the slope of the first line here? Let's call the first line this one. What's the slope of that line? -2, right? What is the slope of the second line?
1/2.
Negative 3?
No.
No, 1/2.
1/2. Now, if you do M1 times M2, that is -2 times 1/2. What would you get? What is that going to give you? Remember we did -2/2, right? And that's equal to
That is -1.
-1. So since this is -1, we conclude that the lines are perpendicular. If the product of the slope is -1, then your conclusion is the two lines are perpendicular lines. Okay, so that's the only rule you need to know about perpendicular and then parallel lines. If the slope are the same, they are parallel lines. If the product of the slope is -1, they are perpendicular. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to jump into some of the problems, and we're going to touch on the example 7 that you were mentioning. So if you go on example 7 on page 139, let me know when you're done copying. All done? All right.
No. You are slow.
That's all right.
Sorry.
Okay.
Was that right?
All done? All right. Oh, right. Okay. So the next example 7 say, let's just go. Find the equation on page 139.
Oh, okay.
Find the equation of the line, of a line with slope. What is the slope again? With slope 3, that passes,
Through the point 5 and 2.
that passes through
5 and
3.5 and 2. Okay, that's a lot of things here. It's a word problem basically. So they say find the equation of a line with slope 3 that passes through 5 and 2. So here's the thing that I would say we do every time. When you're given something like this the first thing we wanna write is, the slope is m, right?
Mhm.
We always gonna start with this equation. What's the equation of the slope intercept from? Y equals mx plus b. We always gonna start with this one.
Well,
And then we're gonna put what we know. They are telling us that the slope is 3. So we know m. M is 3.
Chemistry, yeah.
So it's going to be y equals 3x plus b. What are we missing? We're missing b.
B.
yeah.
We don't know what b is, right? But we can find b because they're telling us that the line is going through what? 5
5.
and 2. So to find b, we're going to replace x by 5, y by 2, and solve for b. Because the line, the equation is, has a slope 3 and is going through 5 and 2. So we're going to go back here and then substitute y by 2 and then x by 5. And we're going to find b so we can complete our equation.
I see.
So it's going to be 2 equals 15 plus b. And since we solved for 15, we're going to, for b, we're going to subtract 15 on both sides. 2 minus 15 is negative 13. So b is equal to negative 13. And now we go back and replace this in the equation. So y equals 3x minus 13, and this is the equation that you're looking for. Okay? That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yes?
Trying to figure it out.
Okay. So the first thing is this, always identify the slope. Write this down every time. The slope, this is the slope intercept form. And then replace the slope by its value, which is 3. And now you're missing the y-intercept, which is b. And to find it, we are given something. We are told that the line is going through 5 and 2. So therefore, we replace x by 5, y by 2, and then solve for b to just find the equation. Okay? So just follow this format and you'll be fine. Okay? Now, let's start on some problems. So, if you go on page 141, we're going to do a couple problems and it's going to be like easier. Yeah, I will. Did you get a response from them?
No, I don't have their number.
Oh, okay.
I
I
got
don't have
Constance's
I got
number.
Jessica's number, but Jessica doesn't answer.
Never?
She
Okay.
never answers. Like when we were in trio, Daniela and I asked her if she wanted to hang out with us one day. She never answered Daniela on me, so I was like, whatever. So I stopped texting people when they don't answer.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Well, but my thing is that they're the one that we're excited about.
But she was
Yeah, I
promised
know.
with that number.
Oh, she has? Yeah. So eventually, yeah. Because she came on Tuesday, right?
Oh,
But
that,
she wasn't here
Constant?
yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she came Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have Constant. You want to text her?
Yeah.
Who?
Constant.
I will text her because I brought a book for us.
Okay, when we get our break, let's do that, yeah.
Oh,
Mhm. So if you go on page 141, we have 3x plus 4y equals to 12, right? And they are telling us,
Which exam is that?
page 141, first problem.
Oh.
Graph this using x, y intercept. So does anybody want to do this on the board? All right. So graph these using the x and y intercept.
Well,
Graph the equation. Graph by plotting the intercept. Remember?
Okay, standard form.
Not yet.
no,
Graph by plotting the intercept. So find the x and y intercept. You don't even have to turn this into
Right, so don't you just do like 3,
mhm.
oh,
Yeah.
so the, right intercept, this is right.
All right. Mhm.
That's.
That's the y intercept, all right.
Sorry about the spelling if it's wrong.
That's
So
all
that
right.
was right.
Um, I just put the y to 0,
Mhm.
and then x plus, equals 12.
Mhm.
Then divide x is equal to 4. So then the x-intercept.
All right, so now let's plot the graph.
Okay. The x-intercept would be 4, and that's x.
Mhm.
And then the y-intercept is going to be 1, 2, 3.
Okay. All right. Okay. Next, number 2.
Good
Uh,
job, son.
If you look at number 2, we won't even do that on the board. We just read it, right? Determine the slope and the y-intercept of y equals 4x plus 5. Number 2. So if you look at the equation, it's given to you as 4x plus 5, right? And then they're asking you, what is the slope and what is the y-intercept? So what is the slope of that line? I'm gonna write it on the board. Y equals 4x plus 5. So they're saying, what's the slope?
4.
Everybody agrees 4,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And what's the y-intercept?
The y is
5,
Yeah.
right? This is